Hey everybody, how are you doing? It's your boy DC, Thursday night host of Rogers Out of the Fog.
Right, you kind of got to make your own fun.
Yeah.
Which was a transition for me, going into the morning show here.
Proud. Keep doing the amazing work, will you?
They're learning about how to hire people.
20 years of local matter, so join me every Thursday night and see what's going on in the fog.
You're watching Rogers TV St. John's.
Good evening, everybody. How are you doing? It's your boy DC. This is Out of the Fog. We're a local matter show that goes right across the province, talking about all the cool people doing all the cool things. And I want to have three special folks joining me after the break. We're going to have Leigh Bursey. We're talking all about homelessness and what can be done. We're talking to the Pottle Centre and the amazing work that they do for the adults in our city. And we're also going to talk to the one and only Jim Fidler with a brand new album out 10 years later. We're going to learn all about his music and what everybody else got to say. This is Out of the Fog, and we'll be right back after this break. Welcome back, everybody. This is Out of the Fog, and I'm very interested in conversations around housing, and I know you are too. It's a very hot topic here in the province, and so much work is being done, so much conversation, and I'm very excited to be joined by the one and only Leigh Bursey. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm great. I appreciate the opportunity.
Of course, it's an important subject and timely as always, even more so lately.
Definitely.
So I'd like to ask you, what led you into the work that you are doing around the subject of housing?
I was a homeless youth in Ontario for a period during my adolescence, and my mother and I fled domestic violence. It was only interim, but at the same time, had it not been for the investment of a lot of wonderful people in my life, I don't know that I'd be here doing what I'm doing today. I went on to become a municipal politician and a talk show host in a similar format for 11 plus years of my life. And in that process, I did everything from drag, as you know, to pro wrestling, to dancing stars, to being a mall Santa and writing children's books. And I wonder if any of these unique adventures and the punk rock adventures and the different experiences I've had would have happened had people not invested in me. So relocated here in 2021, originally from St. John's, and I'm sure that as an infant toddler, I may have actually been living in nonprofit housing as well. So I mean, it's sort of it comes full circle. And since I've been here and as a first-time homeowner and a newlywed who's also now working as a journalist for Invisible People, which is an international publication on homelessness, which I definitely encourage people to check out, coming out of California, great organization. And the various different hats I wear, one role is with the Canadian Housing Renewal Association, which is the largest professional association of housing providers, activists, and advocates in the country. It made sense to me to be able to say, okay, well, how can I plug my knowledge, my life's work, my interests, and my passion into what's happening locally? And sadly, there's no shortage of opportunities to do so because there's a lot of people in need.
Right off the bat, wow, articulate, unbelievable experience and diversity, all leading you full circle. What brought you here to our province from Ontario, where you had been?
I have family members who have some health issues, and of course this was home base for my family. Right. So being able to connect all of those pieces, which we talk a lot about in housing and homelessness, is being able to rely on those natural supports. And in our case, I think that the time I'd spent in Brockville, Ontario, shout out to the house, so what is it, I guess the City of a Thousand Islands, one of my favorite places in the world, Canada's oldest railway tunnel,
wow.
Really beautiful place, but I think I'd fulfilled my mission within that community, and it was time to sort of spread my wings. And frankly, Mount Pearl is very reminiscent. And I know that, when you think about the Brockville-Kingston connection and the Mount Pearl-St. John's connection, you could probably make an argument they have a lot in common. And again, it just made sense. And more importantly, I think one piece that I think is worth mentioning in this type of forum, I was working 6 jobs, 7 days a week in Ontario, and I was a municipal councillor and could not afford a home.
Wow.
No opportunity to buy one. Here I could, but since I've moved here, the assessment of my property has gone up over $25,000, which means that me in 2021 could not afford the home that I've purchased that I live in 2023.
Wow.
Which would tell me that this issue is migrating east, and it's going to be a bigger problem for a lot of people in the coming years.
Oh yeah, and I can tell you that I see it already. And as someone who just rented out an apartment, and the 25 plus people that wrote within the first few hours of that listing going up, and people offering to pay hundreds of dollars above my asking price just to have a place to sleep. And then I go on my social media and I see Tent City across from the Confederation building growing every day. And the networks I travel in, a lot of not-for-profit and cause-based marketing is what I do in my day job as well. And it is a palpable conversation. I have to ask you, solutions? What do you see?
There are multiple. For starters, I know that the fall economic statement coming from the House of Commons is going to include a number of earmarked dollars for additional national housing strategy responses, which I think is warranted and necessary and is based on the backs of good work being done by advocates across the country. Those accelerator funds, that rapid rehousing initiative, those pieces are going to be key. I think the biggest piece is legislative gridlock. We've got incredible people working in this sector here. I've worked in this sector and I've worked with them. I have nothing but good things to say about so many of the professional activists and advocates that work in this sector. The challenge is they're beholden to the same legislation that exists for everyone else. So what we need to do is we need to be rallying around and the provincial government to declare the state of emergency on housing and homelessness and streamline funding dollars. Make sure that we have those rapid builds, those rapid supports. Senior citizens are a massive group in this province, but they're also a massive group of people who are at risk for homelessness in this country. And it's unfortunate that people who helped build this country are now fighting a war that they didn't sign up for. And keeping that in mind, a number of support services became available during COVID-19 that have now since been scaled back. And as long as we continue to pump a certain level of financial support and stimulus into existing programs that service marginalized communities. Streamline those support services for supportive housing, for transitional housing, and not just your basic carbon copy, rent geared to income, not-for-profit, but also that. The big key is that the financialization of housing is a very scary thing. You've got a lot of people who have very vested interest in that economic opportunity who aren't always looking out for everyone's best interests.
That's right.
And as long as that continues to perpetuate, you're going to have people who are sleeping on sidewalks.
So let me ask you two things. When it comes to the Canadian and Newfoundland and Labrador, in this case, chapter, Federation of Co-ops, there's a very active conversation about co-op housing and how the holdback from more housing projects that could be ownership shared by multiple folks who come together into an entity is government to give the land by which these corporations could establish themselves and start up and create housing. Where everyone is a voting member of that versus tenants, they're owners, right? So that's an example of a conversation that is trying to gain momentum and support so that housing can exist. And then, same church, different pew, Home Again Furniture Bank, it has a wait list from here to the harbor of people who have houses, but the places are empty. And the impacts of having an empty house can be just as detrimental in a bunch of ways.
Definitely.
So I just want to say to you in this final moment, as the viewers tune into this conversation, is, way more attention needs to go to this subject. You have to understand when you see people living in tents outside the Confederation building that things are in a interesting place.
Well, you have 21 housing co-ops and they make up 194 family units in this area.
There you go.
That's an underutilized margin of possibility.
Agree.
And as long as we're not actively exploring land trust options, that land assembly place is going to be a continuous challenge.
Agree.
Where if we're accruing those opportunities now, amazing things can happen in a very short period of time, just by protecting that asset for future generations.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. This topic, I want to hear more from you. Will you come back again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much. And we'll talk about Strummerfest in the outro. But for now, this is Out of the Fog. And we'll be right back after this break. Welcome back, everybody. This is Out of the Fog, and I love having good people on the show making good stuff happen. So I'm joined by two new friends today. Leanne, Kelly, how are you girls doing?
We are great. Or at least I'm great.
Wonderful, thank you.
Speak for yourself, girl. No.
Right.
No, I'm great because you're both with me, and I want to learn and to help everybody viewing to learn all about the amazing work that the Pottle Centre does. Who wants to start teaching us all the things?
So the Pottle Centre has been in operation since 1980, and we began as a pet project, basically, of the Canadian Mental Health Association. So we were originally called the Canadian Mental Health Association Social Centre. So over time, that name changed, and it reflects now the good work of Dr. Clarence Pottle, who has since passed on. But he was a psychiatrist here and saw the need for people to have a place to go. A lot of times, people were living in substandard housing conditions, like boarding houses and things like that.
Wow.
And they would have to, leave early in the morning and be gone all day, try to find something to do. So given that many times people with mental illness at the time were unable to find work or go to school because their illness was persistent and chronic, there wasn't really a whole lot for them to do. So Dr. Pottle saw that and was instrumental in getting the initial funding to begin the program. So we just relocated last year to 805 Water Street. We moved in November, so we're accessible now, which is a good thing. We're a contracted service of Eastern Health, which is, of course, now the health authority.
That's right.
And beyond that, we function as a charity. We're a nonprofit. We're registered, and we have to do a lot of fundraising in order to make things work.
I bet.
Yeah.
And with over 2,000 plus not-for-profit organizations in the province, the competition for exposure to talk about the good work that you do could be quite a challenge.
Huge, absolutely huge.
Which is why shows like this love to have on folks who are doing such amazing things,
Yeah.
so that more folks can know about what's being offered and the need that exists to continue to do that.
Right.
Kelly, I want to ask you, what drew you to the organization?
So I am the wellness coordinator, and I feel that I have a job that I feel like I cheat the system. I love my job. I wake up every day, love to go 8:30 to 4:30. So it feels like, I have won the lottery with this job.
That's amazing.
So I have the lovely job of taking our members out into the community. So we go play bingo, we go play pool, we go to movies. We do things in the community, go to Lester's Farm, go to Botanical Gardens. We have many programs. We have a program that's through a horticulturalist, an occupational therapist. We have a nurse who comes in. We have a peer supporter who comes in. So we focus on recreation, and my lovely job is to do that, but we center around wellness and making sure that everyone feels welcome and safe and have a partner to go out in the community with, because sometimes you feel it's hard to go on outings by yourself. So if we all go as a group together to the movies, everyone feels more secure, and definitely I feel I make a difference and love my job.
I love that, and that is so important. And that's just the type of conversation I want to be having with folks watching the show. It's what are we doing? Well, we're taking folks who may not have things to do and places to go,
Right.
and we're bringing them together, and we're doing things to enrich their day-to-day lives and to build confidence and people skills and all of the benefits I can only imagine. You know better than me, but from the treetops, what an important service, and what a basic fundamental service to offer to folks in need. I see folks walking around the downtown. I live downtown myself, and when you see folks walking, you've seen them several times, your heart goes out to them. And so thank so much for the work you do. How long have you been doing the work that you do?
Well, the center's been around since 1980.
That's right.
I've been there for 25 years. My favorite question is when people say, "So were you here when it started?" And I'm like, "Am I that old looking?"
Really, right? Yeah. I mean, I have to ask you, what evolutions in the level of need have you seen, or has the need always been the same, but now we are actually seeing it more so? What's the truth?
I think that the need has been there over the years. We've had discussions at our boardroom table to say, are we going to see a need to wind down this service? Is it not going to be needed in the future? And we're still here.
Of course.
And I don't think we need to go away anytime soon, and I don't think we're going to go away anytime soon. I think there's always going to be a need, because there's always going to be people who are feeling like they are not part of a larger group, and they need that support.
Of course.
So I have seen over the years, though, there's the stigma has reduced somewhat. A huge difference. We got a long way to go.
True.
Very long way to go.
And what do you suggest that we do? And I guess raising awareness via additional funds to help you do more of the good work that you do is part of that answer?
I think so. I think that when people avail of the services, the Pottle Centre, some people come for years and years and years. There are other people who, in their journey to wellness, are needing that support for a brief period of time.
Right.
You know, maybe they've experienced some grief, maybe a diagnosis that, you know, is not good.
Right.
So they are experiencing some mental health issues around that, and you know, maybe this will be a stepping stone into feeling better.
Oh, so simple, so important.
Yeah.
You have an event upcoming. Tell me about it.
We do. It's our, we're hoping it's going to be a signature event for us.
Okay.
It is the second annual Heart of Friendship Gala.
Love it.
We're really newbies at this, so myself and Kelly and a group of our board members have gotten together, so we formed a committee, and we've been planning the event now for several months, and we're going to have an evening of dinner and dancing, a silent auction cake dash, which is really fun. We will have cakes from local bakers.
Love it.
Lots of people we found through, you know, social media.
Sure.
And all like local folks who've done amazing work the last time. Since this is the second annual, we've gone back to some of those same people who are going to support us again. And each table will put some money in a envelope, and whoever has the most money gets to pick the first cake, and so forth.
Love it.
So got to run and get the cake and come back and eat it and have fun. We have some entertainment as well during a cocktail hour. Did you want to talk a little more about that?
Sure. We have local musician Ronan Cook coming.
Nice.
We have our MC Benjamin Murphy from the VOC Morning Show.
Amazing guy.
We have DJ Mr. Music for the end of the night. So all throughout the night, we're going to have lots of fun, cocktails, and then dinner and dancing, and it's going to be a spectacular event.
I'm so
hopefully
excited.
to be an annual event,
Yes.
like Leanne said. So tickets are $65,
Yeah.
or we can have tables of 8, and you can buy tickets at https://thepottlecenter.com/gala with a capital G.
Okay.
Or you can contact myself and Leanne by 709-753-2143, or come down to 805 Water Street and see our lovely facility, see what we're up to, the programs, and buy a ticket for our lovely event, which will go back into our lovely programs that I mentioned before.
I love it. Girls, thank you so much for the work you're doing. Guys, no one should walk alone. Check out the Pottle Centre and the amazing things they are doing. This is Out of the Fog. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back, everybody. This is Out of the Fog, and am I ever excited? One of our very celebrated musicians, the one and only
Thank
Jim Fidler.
God. Thank God there's only one.
I'd be happier if there were two, but I'll settle for one, you know? Jim, I want to talk to you.
Okay.
Music.
Yep.
It's wicked, isn't it?
I'm kind of keen on it.
Yeah, me too. I don't hate it.
No.
No.
Some of it, you know, is kind of testing, but
Sure.
for the most part, I dig it.
Well, I'm glad you do, because 10 years later, you're back again with
Yep.
another beautiful collection of music.
Yep.
I wanted to know all about it.
Well, it's an album. It's called RPM Volume 2, 10 years later, which is the follow-up. It's Volume 2 of RPM, which came out 10 years ago.
That's right.
And it's all original material. It's kind of like the Sgt. Pepper thing, you know. It's me. It's you know, it's all my music, but I kind of was able to step away from myself, and it's all about this sort of fictitious character called Mickey Finn. The Mickey Finn is like getting slipped the Mickey, you know, in the old speakeasy days during Prohibition. You go in for, you know, go in for a bit of bathtub gin or whatever. They'd slip something in your drink, and when they saw you getting woozy, they'd drag you into the back room and promptly relieve you of your wallet and your watch and all that stuff. So the whole idea was this thing that happened to me and a lot of other people. We see the, you know, the guy on the TV, the girls screaming, the Elvis, the Beatles, the whatever. And we're like, yeah, I want in on that. Then you get into it, you get into the belly of the beast, and maybe you realize it ain't all it's cracked up to be, you know? It's not, it doesn't come as advertised. So that's the whole idea of Volume 1, kind of followed Mickey Finn through him achieving his fame and fortune, coming to terms with it, taking a bit of a nap, and then, you know, Rip Van Winkle style, 10 years later, waking up and here's Volume 2.
Wow.
And it's all shades of Beatles, Supertramp, Moody Blues, Eagles, you know. So I got this inspiration from the Ruttles. If you don't know who the Ruttles are, look it up, because that's like Monty Python. George Harrison was involved with it. The Bonzo Dog Band, all that great stuff. Neil Innes, and the whole idea that I took from that was they were doing, it's a takeoff on the Beatles. They're called the Ruttles, you know? And it's all tongue-in-cheek. It's all total tongue-in-cheek. And it's, you know, Monty Python kind of humor. And the songs, excuse me, they actually put out a couple of albums, couple of films. If you look on YouTube, you can find Ruttles documentary, the making of, all that stuff. But the idea is they do songs like "Hold My Hand, yeah, yeah, hold my hand." And so it's not a Beatles song, but it might as well be.
Right.
And it's actually a good song. And then they got Cheese and Onions, and then they got Piggy in the Middle, and all these songs that, I mean, they might as well be Beatles songs. If you like the Beatles, you'd like the Ruttles. But they're not copyright violations, they're just in the spirit of.
Right.
And I thought to myself, well, hang on. There's a longer story to the making of the first volume. It was inspired by a friend of mine, Rod, and we were listening to some quote-unquote classic concept albums.
Rod Priddle?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Such as Thick as a Brick, you know, Sgt. Pepper, The Wall, so on. And we listened to half of The Wall. We'd been listening to a bunch of other stuff, and I just said, okay, that's enough of that now. Let's have another beer or whatever. And Rob was like, that's Pink Floyd. And I was like, yeah, I know, but just, yeah, I could have had enough of that for now. The next day I felt a little guilty. So I was telling him, I said, I can kind of see what they're doing. You know, I'm a producer, arranger, composer, songwriter, and I could kind of see the bricks in the wall. Let's put it that way.
Right.
And he said, "Oh well, geez, by Jim, you knows about music, so you know that's okay." But I felt a little bad the next day, so I went into the studio and just whacked out this quick song, this quick little thing called "Mr. Man," which kind of had the big beginning, and then it pulled back and kind of ebb and flow. And I sent it to him. I said, "See, look, I just wanted you to hear, like, this is kind of what I was talking about." And I was just expecting him to say, "Oh yeah, okay," and that'd be the end of it. But he was like, "This is great. I love that song. Right on." And so the next day, I did another track called "Mama's Little Boy," and then by the third day, I just said, "Why don't I just keep going?" And it was all. I would just lay down music tracks, put on the headphones, get in front of the microphone, and just make the lyrics up as I was going along. So that whole album, except for one verse, is all stream of consciousness. And then I found out after, there's one song on there that's quite reminiscent of "In the Air Tonight," Phil Collins.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, well, didn't I find out years later that's exactly what that was. He had no lyrics for that song. He put on the headphones to the music and just sang it just off the cuff.
I love that.
So, yeah, and then Volume 2, obviously now, it just, the spirit moved me, I guess. It needed a Volume 2, basically. And so it's all original songs, and again, all sort of bits and bobs and pieces here and there as you're listening that would definitely put you in mind of or in the mood of, like I say, Pink Floyd, the Beatles, the Moody Blues, this, that, whatever, and
epic opuses.
In that kind of Ruddle style where you're in the spirit of, but you're
it's
not.
Homage.
The chords are different, the notes are different, the melodies are different. There's no one particular song. Well, there's one song on Volume 1 called Days and Nights, which is quite reminiscent and inspired by the Moody Blues' 22,000 Days from the Long Distance Voyager album. But again, you could go through it with a fine-tooth comb. There's no copyright violation whatsoever, but you hear play the two songs side by side and you'd think they're ideal A-sides and B-sides to a 45, which, by the way, kids, is not a pistol.
Not in our day.
No.
Listen, we're in our final few seconds.
Okay.
Where can folks access this amazing new music?
Well, for now, jimfidler.com, 1D, F-I-D-L-E-R.
Right on.
And we're launching it online, worldwide, on the 8th of December, which is the anniversary, unfortunately, of John Lennon's demise. It's also the anniversary of the launch of my first solo album, Gypsy, in 95.
Yes.
And so jimfidler.com, and just have a look there. There's nothing there right now. We're going to have to run home and put something up there, but it's in the works, and it will be December 8th, and we'd love to see you there.
Well, thank you so much, and I can't wait, and we're all going to roll deep. Before I let you go, final track leading us into the break, well, track 13, called Over. I used to go out, but now I stay in. I was a midnight rover. I'd stay out all night. I'd keep up the fight.
But now all the fighting's over.
All the fighting's over.
Yeah.
Story of my life, bro. Guys, this is Out of the Fog. That's your boy Jim Fidler, and we'll be right back after this break.
Cheers.
Well, guys, what can I tell you? What a wicked old show we had tonight. Thank you so much to Jim Fidler and Lillian, of course.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media.
I belong here.
You may think I don't fit in.
That I don't look the part.